Good afternoon. Welcome back to another installment of these networking episodes. Hopefully, a quick one, but I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar with EIGRP. And so, anyway, today's lab is clearly the EIGRP configuration lab, again from Jeremy's IT Labs, his CCNA preparation course. An excellent course, probably the most important learning tool I've used in preparation for the CCNA. And I have access to the actual Cisco study materials. So um, Jeremy's IT Labs has been excellent for that. So thank you, Jeremy. I'm not super familiar with EIGRP. I've begun my study of dynamic routing protocols, and EIGRP is one of them. There are interior gateway protocols and exterior gateway protocols. EIGRP is a Cisco proprietary interior gateway protocol, meaning routers on your internal network that aren't going out to the internet and traversing across the internet are going to use a protocol like EIGRP to select the best route to a destination and to hook up with each other basically as neighbors, etc. So the whole point of dynamic routing protocols, as far as I understand them so far, is you don't have to statically configure routers, telling the router what its next hop IP is or address on its path to a destination. The routers figure that out for themselves using several of these types of protocols. Um, all right, so let me first of all, I kind of want to make sure this is big enough because I feel like maybe on the last video it wasn't super visible. So, first things first, we've got one PC, a switch, and four routers, each with its IP address as it's designated here, et cetera, et cetera. So first things first, configure the appropriate host names and IP addresses on each device. So I'm going to start with router one and go to the CLI, press enter, go to configuration mode, and first I'll set the host name to router one. All right, and then maybe set some IP addresses. So router one, let me make this a little bit better so that it's visible. And the other thing I would like to do, let's see, can I Command T this? No, not that. Um, Hopefully that's visible enough, the text here in the on the CLI. So anyway, you know what? I'm gonna go up to Packet Tracer, Preferences, and I'm going to go to font. Let's see, for the CLI, let's bump that to 18 and see how that looks. Tooltips, size, application. All right, now what is that doing? Back to the CLI, slightly bigger. That's a little bit better. All right, so I rewatched the first video I did of these, and it was kind of difficult to see. You can zoom in on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, all right, so router one now has a host name. So it's G00 interface needs an IP address, and its F10 needs an IP address. So let's start with that. So I'll start with G00. So interface gigabit 00. So we could go to interface configuration mode, and we'll say IP address and 10.0.12.1. All right, now it's a /30. This is going to force me to do the right subnetting. Oh man. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my little board over here because /30 is /24 plus 6 bits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and now those bits all together equal 255, no, maybe 256. 255 minus 3. And that's going to be 252. All right, so I think a slash 30, that seems correct, is dot 252. All right, and I did that by adding up all the network bits to get this subnet mask that represents a slash 30. So let me just verify again. So 10.0.12.0. Okay, so 10.0.12.1 on the G00 interface. Good. Dot 1, 255.255 dot 30. All right, so that's 6, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 24 plus 6 is 30. I think that's right. Hopefully. All right, and I'm going to say no shut to enable that interface. All right, so it's changed to up. And now we're going to do interface. I'm already here, so I need to do exit interface F fast Ethernet 1/0. Same thing. We are going to say IP address 10.0.13.1, and it's again a slash 30, so that's going to be 255.255.255.252, and we'll say no shut. All right, then anything else on here? IP addresses enable the router interfaces, set the appropriate host names. That's done for that. Let's do router 2. Okay, CLI, enter en conf t for configuration mode, if I can type. Good. And all right, let me make this visible again. There's got to be a better way. So router 2, same thing. First of all, host name is going to be router 2. All right, and then we're going to go into interface G00 to configure that. And we'll put an IP address on there of 10.0.12.2 with, again, a slash 30 subnet mask. 10.0.12.2 with a, oh, I almost made a mistake. And this is why it's good to check your work. 255.255.255.252. All right. All right, and we'll say no shut. Change to up, and now we're going to go back and go into interface fast Ethernet 1/0, and that's going to get an IP address of 10.0.24.1 in a slash 30, and no shut, no shit. All right, so that's router 2. Then let's go to router 3. Same thing. We got to do all 4 routers. Okay, CLI, good. This here. Turn to get started. En conf t. Host name is router 3. All right, and can't really see that. Let me pull it up. All right, so first of all, we'll go to F10. So interface fast Ethernet 10, and its IP address is 10.0.13.2 on a 255.255.255.252 subnet mask. Easy. Exit, and then we'll go into its interface F fast Ethernet 20. And that's going to get an IP address of 10.0.34.1, and again 255, or again slash 30, 252. Okay, 10.0.34.1. All right, I think that's it for router 3. And then finally, router 4. All right, now router 4, what does it need? Okay. All right, so first of all, en conf t host name router 4. We'll go to its F10 interface, and it needs an IP address of 10.0.24.2. I'm getting that from right here, 10.0.24.2. All right, and again, 255.255.255.252 is my subnet mask because that's the equivalent of this /30 for the variable length subnet mask, a variable length subnet, I should say. IP address 10.0.24.2. Good. All right, and we'll exit, and then we'll go to its G00. Actually, no, it's got to do this one too. We'll go to its F20 interface. It's got 3 to configure. F fast internet 2/0. And that's going to be IP address 10.0.34.2, 255.255.255.252. All right, and exit. Oh, shoot, I didn't do no shut. No shut. And I think I need to go back into F10 real quick. Exit interface F10 and say no shut. No shut. No shut. All right, now that's up. Good. And finally, we need to go into its G00. So exit. All right, so interface gigabit 0/0. And its 00 interface IP address 192.168.4.0. So dot 4.254. And now this is a /24. So this is going to be 255.255.255.0. And that's the equivalent of a /24 subnet mask. All right, or that's the subnet mask equivalent of /24 subnet. IP address 192.168.4.254. And then /24. All right, so that's good. And then I'm going to say no shut. All right, so router 3. I'm kind of not sure why I don't see traffic going across here. So what does this have? All right, so let me just hover over this real quick. So router 3's, oh, they're down. Router 3's got a 10.0.13.2/30. Then we got 10.0.34.1/30 coming out of its F2.0. Okay, so that seems to be correct. Did I just not do no shut? Oh, I didn't. Okay. 252, no shut. Now it's back to up, and I got to do exit into the interface fast Ethernet 10, and I need to do no shut. I didn't do that. And I can't stop typing no shit. All right, let's see what that looks like. Okay, green arrows are flowing. Good. All right, so now out of the G00, we are up 10.0.12.1. Out of this 12.2, we are up 24.1 on the F10 is up. Good. Everything looking good. I just want to see if I can ping uh, router 1 to router 2 real quick. So that's going to be 10.0.12.2. All right, so let me see. Can you exit, exit, ping 10.0.12.2? Yes, you can. All right, so I think the router IP addresses are successfully configured. I wonder if maybe think it's like, what's the IP route table of this? Show IP route. So it just has the directly connected routes, which is why I can ping. But I don't think, for example, because routing is not enabled, that I could ping, for example, 1 to 4. Let me try that real quick. So we're on 1, and I want to ping, let's say I want to ping like the .2 interface of router 4, and that's going to be 10.0.34.2. So ping 10.0.34.2. Now I expect this to fail because that router 4 is not directly connected and we have no routing protocol or static routing in place. Let me try that. Hope this fails. And it's failing. All right, so that ping is not possible. So that's good. This makes sense to me. All right. And for that reason, I would expect, this PC not to be able to ping anything. So one thing we do need to do, I don't think we need to put IP addresses on the switch, but we probably need to put an IP address on the PC. So let me do that real quick. And that's going to be 192.168.4.1. So for the PC, I think we go to config, fast Ethernet, IP configuration, static. All right, and what did I just say? 192.168.4.1. 192.168.4.4.1, and that's a /24, and it's already pre-populated. All right, so there's that. Next up, configure a loopback interface. Configure a loopback interface on each router. 1111.32 for R1, 222, okay, for each router. Watch the video if you don't know how to do this. All right, so I have not watched the video, but I think I might be able to do this. So it's loopback interface. So router 1, I'm going to just say conft interface question mark. I should be able to get a loopback. All right, so the question mark obviously gives you the fast or the options you have. So interface loopback, interface loopback number, I'm going to say 1. Now maybe I need to do, oh, okay. 1111.222. All right, so I could make it loopback interface 1 for router 1, loopback interface 2 for router 2. All right, so interface loopback 1, and that's up. Now I'm in the loopback interface configuration mode, I think. So I'm going to say IP address 1.1.1.1, 255.25, sorry, 255.255.255.255. Why? Because it's a /32. So it wants me to do 1.1.1.1/32 for R1's loopback interface. So it's IP address 1.1.1.1, blah, 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 blah. All right. Enter. No shut. All right. Now I'm going to say exit. I just want to see, do show IP interface brief. And it's got loopback that's up, loopback 1, 1111. All right, so that makes sense. All right, now I'm going to go to the router 2, same exact thing. Conft interface loopback 2, IP address 2.2.2.2, 255.255.255.255, no shut, exit. Do show IP interface brief. And we see we've got loopback 2 now created, the virtual interface, 2222 up and up. Good news. Router 3. So we're going to say exit, exit, if I can spell. And we'll go to interface loopback 3. All right. And now for loopback 3, it's going to have IP address 3.3.3.3 and of a slash 32 subnet mask. All right, and no shut. I don't even think this is necessarily necessary. And then finally, exit if I can spell. Do show IP IP interface brief. Loopback 33333. Good. All right, and router 4. Blah blah blah. Exit. Go to interface loopback 4. And now IP address 4.4.4.4. And just for that. Okay, now exit. I've noticed when you do the do to like jump back. So show you don't get tab completion. Show IP. See, no tab completion. I don't like that. Interface, no tab completion. Brief. 4444 or loopback 4. All right, I think that is done. Next step. Okay, so configure a loopback interface on each router if you don't know how to do this. All right, now the tough part. I'm not sure I'm going to know how to do this, so we're going to have to figure it out. Configure EIGP on each router. Disable auto summary. Enable EIGRP on each interface, including the loopback interfaces. Configure passive interfaces where appropriate, including loopback interfaces. All right, so first of all, let's see if I can just figure out how to configure. So router 1. All right, so I do think we need to go into config. All right, now I think there is this, a router keyword. So I'm just gonna like question mark my way through this. Question mark. All right, so this is a good start. We've got EIGRP. All right, question mark. Oh, autonomous number, autonomous system number, and he put it in here. AS100. Now this is gonna have to be configured the same across all of them, or it won't work. So AS100. Now question mark. So carriage return. So that's it for that. All right, so now we are in configuration for EIGRP. So what did he say? I'm getting out of this way. Disable auto summary. All right, so I'm going to say no auto summary. Distance, EIGRP specific commands, no. The metric modify exit, no. The network, enable routing on an IP network, yes. And we have to do something with passive interfaces, which I'll figure out in a second. All right, so I think the next thing to do is to establish what the network command is. All right, so that is going to require a network number. All right, so enable EIGRP on each interface, including loopback interfaces. All right, so I need to make this so anybody who's watching this can see it. We're on router 1. It needs to have a network that can access 10.0.12 and 10.0.13. And in this case, it takes the network number. So if I just say 10.0, like make it a /16, it would include everything, right? It will be in configured on every port that matches. I don't know. Let's just try that for now. And dot o dot dot o. Now the next is a wild card. So I think that's going to be 0.0.255.255. And what this means is that anything that matches 10.0, so 10.12, 10.0.12, 10.0.13, anything that matches 10.0 in the first two octets will get picked up. All right, let me see what that does. And then that's just return. All right, so now let me exit out of this and just see if I can say exit, exit. So is there a way to show protocols? There is. Okay, so active protocols, good. So look, we can show active network routing code, show protocols. Internet protocol routing is enabled. So IP interfaces, that's nice. All right, so is this saying that it's done? EIGRP interfaces for process 100. I assume that's this AS. On G00 and F10, they have no peers, but it looks like they're there. It's active on those interfaces. So I think that's good. All right, so what did we say? Enable EIGRP and configure passive interfaces where appropriate, including loopback interfaces. Now, I did not enable EIGRP on the loopback interface. The loopback interface is 1.1.1.1, which was not going to match the 10.0. So I think I need to add another network. All right, so I'm going to go conf t router EIGRP to get into configuration for that. EIGRP 100. And that's a return. All right, so now what do I got in here? Network. We got to get to loopback network. So that's network 1.1.1.1. I think that's maybe all I'm going to need. And that can be /30 because it's only that, right? Or /32 because it's only that network. I think that's right. All right, exit, exit, and now show IPEIG. Okay, so it's on loopback 1. All right, I'm going to try this with all of them. I think that's what I'm supposed to do here. Now, how I test it, I'm not really sure, but router 1 seems to be configured because I disabled auto summary, I enabled EIGRP on each interface, including those, and then I configured passive interfaces where appropriate. Now, the passive interfaces are ones where you don't want it EIGRP to send hello packets like every whatever it does, 5 seconds or 30 seconds, whatever the default timer is. And so, for example, like on this router, it has this G00 interface that's not pointing to another router, it's pointing to a PC. And so it doesn't need to try to like negotiate or like say hello out of this interface because that's just like wasted bandwidth, wasted traffic. It's not going to go anywhere and it's not going to connect with anything that is enabled with GRP, EIGRP, so or any other dynamic protocol. So you would make that a passive interface. And so looking at this, I think this is the only one we would make passive, although I'm not sure about the loop backs, if you're supposed to make them passive as well, probably. And so maybe I'll just do that too. So if I go into the same thing, so conf t router EIGRP question mark 100 question mark, and then I look at this. So we want to say passive interface question mark is going to be loopback 1. And then question mark, nothing. All right, so I think we're making loopback 1 a passive interface. All right, so then let me get out of this, and I want to see like show protocol, protocols, show protocols. So global values, protocol is lined up. All right, loopback up is up, blah, blah, blah. Internet address. So that doesn't really help me that much. Does this take anything else? No. Show IP question mark EIGRP question mark. Traffic. What's topology look like? All right. So is there anything that shows me that it's passive? Oh, okay. So 1.1.1 is passive. Now none of these are active, probably because they don't have any neighbors. Um, but that's okay. So I'm going to go with that for now. Now we need to do the same whole thing on the rest of them. All right, so no auto summary, enable EIGRP, configure passive interfaces where appropriate, and include EIGRP on the loopback interfaces. All right, so router 2, en conf c router EIGRP. Got to have the same autonomous system number. Enter. Question mark. No auto summary. Disable auto summary. Network. Now it's got to have a network designation that matches anything 10.0. Well, that's easy again. Maybe I'm not doing this like specific enough, but for now, I think that's going to have to work. So 10.0.0.0. All right. And it's going to have a wildcard mask of 0.0.255.255. So that means it's going to match on anything that begins with 10.0. So it'll pick up the interfaces in the 10.0.24 subnet and in the 10.0.12 subnet. All right. And then we also, oh, and it created a new neighbor. That's good to see. That's what we want. We want them to like communicate with one another so that packets can go around. All right. And then the loopback interface. So question mark, passive. No, I shouldn't say that. I want to enable it. So I'm going to say network on 2.2.2.2, and that's going to be a /32 because it only needs to be enabled on the one address, all right, which is the loopback address. So there's that. And then I'm going to say passive interface is loopback 2. All right, and I think that's it. So now I'm going to say exit, show IP EIGRP question mark. Let me say, what's topology look like? All right, so everything looks passive. I'm not sure if I want that. What's show IP EIGRP neighbors? So in the case of, so this router 2, out of its interface G00, it has a neighbor of 10.0.12.1, which is this G00 interface of router 1. So that's pretty good to see. So EIGRP interfaces, and it's got EIGRP going with peer on at least on G00 out of G00 and F01. All right, and did I enable it on the loopback interface? 2.2 successors connected loopback 2. Yeah, it looks like I did. Although I don't know why it doesn't show up on the interfaces thing. Maybe loopback interfaces don't show up like that. EIG, can I take, does it take a question mark? Interfaces loopback 2. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe loopback interfaces don't show up on that view. All right, so I think that's done there. Let's do router 3. All right, so en conf t router EIGRP 100? Question mark? No. All right, and we're going to say no auto summary. And we are going to say network 10.0.00. All right, same thing with this, I believe. It's network stuff. 10.0 dot 0.0 should match on anything 10.0. We're going to say 0.0.255.255 as our wildcard mask to match on the first two octets and nothing else. All right. So we got a new adjacency, which is good. That's what we want. All right. And we're going to call, we need to do a network of 3.3.3.3, 255.255.255.255. Okay. To match the loopback address of 3.3, loopback 3. All right. And we will, what else do I need to do here? Set a passive interface of loopback 3, exit, exit. So IP EIGRP question mark interfaces. So we've got coming out of 1, and it's got a neighbor, and 2. All right, so now let's do number 3. So number 4, en conf t. So router EIGRP 100, and we'll say no auto summary, and then we'll do network 10.0.0.0 0.0.255.255 for our wildcard mask, and just to confirm that that's correct. So we want it to match on interfaces matching 10.0 of any kind, and that looks like that's the case. All right, so network da da da. Now we got 2 adjacencies up. That's good to see. And then we're going to say network 10.10, no, 4.4, 4, and 255.255.255 for our loopback address. And then we're going to say passive interface is going to be loopback 4. And I think that one is done. All right, so now the question is, can router 1 ping router 4? That would be interesting to see. So router 4 is 10.0.34.2. Ping 10.0.34.2. That's great. That's great, because that means that that router 1 learned, let me get rid of this. Router 1 learned a path to router 4 dynamically without configuring a static route. So it knew how to traverse either this direction or this direction. Now with EIGRP, I expect it to have gone this direction and down. Why? Because gigabit is faster than Ethernet, fast Ethernet, and it would presumably prefer the faster one. I think with other internal gateway protocols, or yeah, interior gateway protocols like RIP, RIP just does hop count, so it probably load balances over both paths to route 4 from route 1, router 4 from route 1, because it doesn't care about the bandwidth, but EIGRP is enhanced, and I think it does because it's smarter, effectively. All right, so, and what else? Configure R1 to perform unequal cost load balancing when sending traffic so let's see if R1 can ping the PC1. That's another little interesting point. So 192.168.4.1. Let's try that. Ping 192.168.4.1. This might have to do some ARP negotiation first. Okay, so that cannot hit it. And I wonder why. Is it because I wouldn't expect the switch to need a IP address. Hmm. Can PC1 ping router 1? Let me see about that. So 10.0.13.1. Ping 10.0.13.1. Doesn't look like it. Maybe I don't expect it to. Either that or I was going to say, does the switch need an IP address? But no, does the switch need an IP address? No, because the switch is layer 2. It doesn't work with IP addresses. I wonder what the routing table of R4 looks like. Exit, exit, show IP route. So let me move this up. All right, so we've got dynamically learned routes. Weird. Gateway of last resort is not set. There's more of this apparently. All right, so 192.168.4.0 is directly connected. All right, so can R4 ping PC1, 192.168.4.0, 4.1. Ping 192.168.4.1. So yes, it can ping the PC. So that's expected. Okay. So to get out to slash to 10.0 for subnets, I don't understand what this 1.0, 1.1, 2.2 directly connected. I think I screwed up how these loopback interfaces look. They just seem strange. But anyway, I'm trying to get out to 10.0.12.0. If I want to get to 10.0.12.0, that's going to go via 10.0.24.1 on the fast 1.0 exit interface. That seems correct. If I want to get to 10.0.13, I'm going to go via 10.0.34.1 out the fast 2.0 interface. So it knows how to get out to these. So let me try. Can R3 ping 192.168? All right, so wait a minute. Maybe it doesn't have a gateway of last resort. So, you know what? I think there's a thing I have to do here where this needs to propagate its gateway of last resort. There's something about that here. So let me go into router again, because here's what I mean. Like out to the, no, maybe that's incorrect. We need R4 to share the route here. Let me just see. Router EIGRP 100. What do we have in here? Redistribute? What is that? No. No. Let me get to this first. All right. So configure R1 to perform unequal cost load balancing when sending network traffic to 192.168.4.0. All right. So configure R1 to load balance, unequal cost load balancing. So I have no idea. Conf, no, en conf t now router EIGRP 100, not ls. Redistribute information from another routing protocol? No, I don't think that's right. Distance? No. Maybe it's distance, like maybe the metric, unequal cost. So let me see what metric. Weights, modify IGRP coefficients. This is probably it. Type of service. Yeah. Control load balancing variance. Oh, that seems like it. Metric variance load multiple. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I think I'm going to stop here. I do not know how to do this, but I will make a part two after I research it and come back and we'll deal with unequal cost load balancing. And then I also need to figure out why I can't get a ping from router one to TC1. I would like to figure that out if I'm even supposed to. Anywho, all right, thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful to anybody in some way. And like I said, I'll make a part two where I figure out the rest of that stuff. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.